Iowa has the opportunity to completely change the narrative around their team and this season, this weekend, when they welcome the number 6 team in the country, the Oregon Ducks, into Kinnick Stadium in Iowa City. Let's talk about it next here on the College Huddle. You've landed on the mothership, everybody. 89 independent college football podcasts from coast to coast, covering your favorite schools and teams, including the Iowa Hawkeyes, right here on the College Huddle. Make sure you give a thumbs up, like the video. Of course, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. A lot of people subscribing over the last month. Really appreciate all of you who have done so and tune in every single day here for a quick 10 to 15 minute video on the College Huddle. Again, make sure you let us know what you think about what we think down in the comment section below. Kirk Ferentz, the all-time winningest coach in Big Ten football history, has a chance to completely change the narrative around him and his team this season with a big win against Oregon on Saturday. He might be the winningest coach in Big Ten history, but he is also the losingest coach in Big Ten history, which means he's just been around a really, really long time. He's had some really big wins in his career. He's also had some pretty bad losses in his career as well. But the man hasn't had an opportunity like this in a couple decades. Iowa has been sitting around in upper echelon, but just out of the tier 1 status in the Big Ten for basically a couple decades. Even when the conference was split in two on the East and the West was considered much more easier to get to the Big Ten championship game than the East, where you had Michigan and Ohio State and Penn State. Iowa still, more times than not, lost out to Wisconsin getting to Indianapolis to play for a Big Ten championship game. And when they did win, they would get boat raced like they did against Michigan a few seasons ago. Iowa is a really good program. No one's debating that. But Iowa has lacked the ability to take the next step as a program. And it's always been because offensively they have had issues. Defensively, not a problem with Iowa. Really good defensive football team. One of the best in the country year in and year out. They don't have a problem with special teams. I mean, shoot, they literally wear the t-shirt "Kicking is winning" around campus there in Iowa City. It's the offense that has always been a struggle for the Hawkeyes. And they tried to address this in the offseason when they went out and got two-time national champion, FCS national champion winning quarterback in Mark Gronowski. The South Dakota State Jackrabbit quarterback who won national championships in the FCS in 2022 and 2023, returned to the state where his father played football, in the state of Iowa. And he was the 25-year-old, I think he's 25 years old, maybe he's in his 24, maybe he hasn't had his 25th birthday yet, but he's 24 years old, let's just say that. The 24-year-old has had an opportunity to really stamp his name on a pretty good college football legacy by having a great season in Iowa. But the statistics, especially throwing the football, haven't really bared out for him, we could say. But is it really his fault? I mean, Iowa offensively, I don't know. They don't really have an identity from year to year other than the fact that they like to pound the ball. And thankfully, Mark Gronowski can actually run the football. He's done so 76 times for 313 yards and 11 rushing touchdowns on the year. That's not too far off Kamari Moulton, their leading rusher, who's had 82 carries for 435 yards and 2 touchdowns. But passing the ball, Mark Gronowski's 107 completions on 165 attempts, which is a completion percentage of 64.8 for only 946 yards this season. 4 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions. Iowa offensively still leaves a lot to be desired, even with Gronowski running the offense there in Iowa City. But there's still this opportunity. They still have this great opportunity to make a huge impact. Now, they might be a top 25 team in the CFP rankings. When that comes out later this evening, we shall find out. They are currently sitting on the outside of the top 25 in the AP rankings. And I can't necessarily blame the AP voters for that. When you look at what Iowa has done this season, they lost to in-state rival Iowa State 16-13 on the road in Ames, Iowa. Iowa State is not a good football team. They have had their struggles in the Big 12. So that is one strike against Iowa right there. They struggled mightily to beat a Penn State team that is currently on a 5-game losing streak, who hasn't won a Big Ten game all year, who had a redshirt freshman quarterback making his first start on the road in Iowa for the first time in his career after Drew Aller went down with an injury, and Iowa managed to beat Penn State 25-24 by 1 point. Iowa, their best thing they've done all year might be their second loss, where at home against Indiana at the end of September, they only lost to the Hoosiers 20-15. A 5-point loss to the number two team in the country might be the one statistical data point that you can actually look at Iowa and say that's a pretty good football team. Look what they did against Indiana. But now the rubber meets the road for Gronowski and Ferentz and the rest of this Iowa team. Because into Iowa City, coming into Iowa City this Saturday is the number 16 in the country, the Oregon Ducks. Iowa has a chance to rewrite the narrative. And what's the narrative that I'm talking about? The narrative I'm talking about is that Iowa is a good but not a great football team. That Iowa is a tier 2 football team in the Big Ten. That Iowa is the type of program that'll be on the cusp of the college football playoff, but they'll never bust that door down. And if they get in there, they're going to be an easy out. That's the narrative. Because Kirk Ferentz, although he's won a lot of football games, he's also lost a lot of football games. And they're just not a top-tier team. People ask, who are the top-tier teams in the Big Ten? Well, right now, I would say the College Football Playoff Committee is going to say the top-tier teams are Ohio State, Indiana, and Oregon. If you can beat one of those top-tier teams, you supplant them in the minds of a lot of people. You give yourself the opportunity to take their spot because you will be 7-2. They will be 7-2, and you own the head-to-head, and you only have that 5-point loss to the number 2 team in the country, which is considered a good loss. And guess what? That separates you a little bit from that bad loss you had at the beginning of the year against Iowa, against Iowa State. I'll get it right eventually. And so I'm not even going to look ahead to next week when they have to travel out to California to take on USC in the Coliseum. You got to take care of business in Kinnick this Saturday. You have to beat the Ducks at home for me or anybody else to consider you a viable candidate with 3 weeks left in the regular season to be considered for the college football playoff. If you want us to consider you, Iowa, you have to win this football game. There's no way around it. Your season is on the line, but you have the opportunity to completely rewrite the narrative. What will you do with it? That's the question. I can't wait to find out. It's definitely a game I have circled on my must-watch list for this weekend. I hope you will enjoy watching it as well. Make sure you check out every day here at the College Huddle. We'll have a video a lot like this one every single day, something new for you, some story, some idea I have. Go over to thecollegehuddle.com, check out our website, find your school and that you enjoy watching and following, to find the podcast that's associated to not only your school of choice but also the College Huddle over on our website at thecollegehuddle.com. Let me know what you think about my take on Iowa down in the comments section below. Have a great rest of your day, everybody.